think we are right at time. So
Let's do it.
On that note,
Hello, friends.
welcome to the great ship war to come. A couple of bits of like housekeeping / just like notes before we get started. I want to make it very clear, this is not a debate panel. No. We are not here to debate which ship is better. There are a lot of great debate panels this weekend, and we are not one of them.
And I hope you've checked out the two that have already happened.
Although, I mean, some ships are better, but we're not here to fight about that.
We're just now, and okay, and on that note, we are not here to shame anyone. So therefore...
Even if I ship Brown and Jamie?
Yeah, you know what? You do.
Jamie's a little gay. There, I said it.
We are not here to shame anybody.
Jamie wanted to be with Arthur.
Yes, I agree with that.
He wanted to be him, and he wanted to be with him.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Cersei also. Yeah, so we are not here to debate anything, and we're definitely not here to shame anybody. We're mostly just here to, kind of unpack and explore what the I can't say that word. What the is happening in our fandom right now?
Time out. Are we not allowed to cuss?
No.
Really?
I'm not going to talk.
Do the good place.
Yeah, with the fork.
What the fork?
What the fork?
Yeah.
Forks, knives, and spoons.
This is Birchin.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe in you. Yes.
I'm gonna try really
Or
hard.
do what I do in use Star Wars swears and say Criff.
Yeah. Anyway, so on that note, now that we've got that out of the way, let's do some introductions, and then we'll get started. Let's start with Lakota. Give us your house and give us your ship, and how we can find you on the interwebs.
So my name is Lakota. I am clearly House Targaryen. I am a Daenerys ship. Fight me.
Not during the panel though.
We're not. This is that panel though.
I'm sorry. I'm just used to saying it. I know. And you can find me on Instagram at Koda Soda, KODASODA1.
Word.
That's too bad that wasn't original.
Listen.
Sorry.
Nephew. Comment.
Listen, nephew, comment.
I'm Britt. I ship Sansa with happiness and agency. So however that pans out, I do not care.
I feel like everyone in this show needs
anyone but
therapy.
Littlefinger. Jesus Christ. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Salsa Stark. And I'm House Stark, obviously.
Wait, you got Sansa Stark?
Salsa.
Salsa.
Salsa or salt?
Salsa.
Because she's salty.
Glad we specified. I was about to go look for it.
Salsa.
Salsa Stark is someone else.
Serve Beth is
Yeah.
tortillas chips.
Hi, I'm Maddie. I'm a cosplayer, I'm a podcaster, I'm an audio engineer. I do a lot of things. I love doing a lot of things. My ship is, so my main Asoya ship.
Girl.
What?
Go.
Do you know what I was saying?
You got so many ships. Go for it.
I do? Okay. So my main ship is Bravey, but in terms of the main characters that we're discussing, I'm a dance-up person. I almost said the B word. I am here, I'm queer, I have a beer. So let's get this party started. And you can find me at Maddie K. Ray, MADDIE
Love it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Love it.
Well, now that we have introduced ourselves and we have introduced our ships of choice, I think it's important before we start our conversation to really kind of iron out what is shipping. So for those of you that have joined our panel, you probably know what shipping is.
Raise your hand if you know what shipping is.
If you know what shipping is. Yeah.
Cool. Some people did raise their hand. About it.
Yeah. So traditionally,
Cargo across ocean.
He's correct. He's not
Not
wrong. He's not wrong, though.
yeah, but I think in terms of fandom spaces, right? We define shipping as supporting the romantic get-together of two or sometimes more fictional characters, right?
She's so fine. It's
right?
fine.
And the idea of shipping, I think, is up to, it's obviously up for debate, right? And I'd love to hear from the audience in terms of this, when was your first experience with shipping? For me, it was Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Wait, who's your ship?
I'm a Bengal girl myself, but I know there's a lot of Spuffy people.
I'm a Spuffy.
Oh, God.
I come from that Hermione world.
Yes, yeah. So,
Guardian angel for life.
oh God, Spangle, really?
Spangle, yeah.
Yeah.
We went there.
Hermione and Spangle.
Yeah, so I think like especially with our generation, like there's a certain age group and even and perhaps even not like as far back as like the X-Files, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had Scully.
Okay,
That was like
did-
will
did-
they or won't they? Yeah.
Were there people that did not ship that? Because if so, the door's back there.
We allow everyone.
It's fine.
What? Okay, that's a whole other thing.
God,
Hold on. That's a whole other thing.
That awoke something.
But
in me.
you know.
Thank you for laughing.
Right?
You know, and
I
it's like-
understand.
and it goes back even further than that, though, right? It's like even people could argue with Star Wars. Oh, let's not, but say we did.
I'm sorry. So for reference, I have a Star Wars podcast, and so I'm used to engaging in this.
So we talked about it and it's done. Moving forward.
Yep, we're done. We're done.
Leia?
Huh?
Would we call that a Leia?
A Lulea.
Oh God. Oh God. Luke and Leia.
Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. So, the origins of shipping. Why? The question is like, why do we root for fictional characters, especially in some cases on the infamous bird site, Twitter? Why
I'm not a part
We
of.
love the hell site.
Oh God, we love a stan Twitter.
I'm not on Twitter. I don't get it.
God
you're
bless
lucky
you.
for that.
God.
Yeah, you are lucky for that. But like, why do we? I guess the universal question is, why do we root for these fictional relationships? Oftentimes, as much, if not more so, than we root for our own relationships.
I think it's because we see ourselves in them.
Oh yeah, and I'm so glad you brought that up. Yes.
Or we see what we want the truth of the world to be in them.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like that. So in terms of Remy, that involves a lot of like redemption stuff that I don't think is necessarily romantically linked. But as characters, even if they weren't romantically linked, they have this beautiful journey of foiling each other that really kind of satisfies me by ending romantically.
Yeah.
However, other people disagree. That's cool.
There is a psychological study. It's called love mapping, and love mapping explores the idea that we latch on and we really start to like cheer for these ideas of fictional characters falling in love and having a happy life because we self-identify and we sort of self-insert ourselves into these fandoms. And so when we think specifically about Game of Thrones and we think about A Song of Ice and Fire, which is why we're all here today, obviously, the two really predominant ships that start to present themselves, especially on Stan Twitter, is hashtag Johnsa. For those of you that don't know, that is Jon and Sansa, and Jonaris, which is Jon and Daenerys.
And then there's Danza.
There's Danza,
Which is the better ship out of all of them.
We are
Just cut out the middleman.
Talk about just like an exclusive corner of this. Yeah, like there are so many different fandoms in Game of Thrones,
And there's so many different ship like sort of things that you can go to.
Theonsa, which is Theon and Sansa.
Yeah.
Which is the one that I really feel like should have happened, but here we are.
They teased us.
They hugged.
Yeah.
They hugged and had a bowl of brown
They
together.
had a really sweet bro hug.
Yeah.
It's fine. I guess but the problem is, I guess when you don't have a penis, you can't really do the things. I said, that's not a cuss word.
Grey worm. Huh?
I said, I'm sure you would beg to differ, wouldn't you?
Yes. You're not wrong there.
But I think it's interesting that especially like the fandom itself has become, I mean, I can't say I'm surprised. Any fandom, especially that has like really kind of like created such a explosion in the zeitgeist, it's going to be natural that there's going to be some sort of divisiveness, right? Like it's gonna be either it's gonna be a ship, or it's gonna be like this character is better than this character. Currently, what's happening concurrently with ship wars is the
It's becoming like a Sansa versus
between
Daenerys
Sansa
thing.
versus
Yeah,
Daenerys thing, which is
absolutely.
some shit. I hate that. I'm sorry, I'm gonna cuss, but like I think that's awful. So it's interesting because like we think about the explorations of the love mapping, right? We think about like we have so many self-inserts of people that are like, I think that Sansa should be with Jon for this reason. Mostly because if you're like me and you ship Sansa with agency and happiness, the only person that has really given her that is Jon Snow, her brother. Hashtag cousin. It's fine, everything's fine. Not looking right at you, Alex, right now. What's up? But then you actually, so what then becomes interesting about this too, on top of that, is the layer that you think about with the show versus the books. There is an argument that a lot of people can make about the staying power of Jon and Sansa in the books even. I mean,
I feel like if the books are so dense and like beautifully populated though, that you could make that argument for a significant number of ships.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
And that's what I love about the books. Like
Yeah.
there's so much, like as someone, as we were talking about like plan versus plant, like George definitely plants his characters and lets them grow. So there's this rich content and this rich, like beautiful potential for every single page of every single book. And that's what I love about the books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we throw it over to the Daenerys side, which is very much like there is a school of thought, and I absolutely see it, and I agree with it completely.
It's thematically deeply important.
Yes,
Yeah.
there is narrative basis for Daenerys happening, because in the books there is so much of what is happening with Daenerys' visions, not only in the House of the Undying, but dreams that she has that are very, very heavily alluding to Jon Snow.
And their arcs parallel each other.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
every
much.
book. Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah.
And also, I mean, I still think the best Targaryen reign was Jaehaerys and Alysanne, brother and sister.
Again, you're no wrong.
So,
Yes.
Which,
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
Great band. Sister
Kind of
wives.
weird, kind of gross, but I was totally with the whole aunt and nephew thing. I was like, they don't know, it's
We're
fine.
at Con of Thrones. Everybody here is cool with incest, right?
Yeah, everybody here is okay with that. I mean, we've been dealing with it for years, and it's fine.
10 years at this point, yeah.
I'm not gonna plug, but I'm gonna plug. I am lecturing tomorrow about the parallels between Sansa and Alysanne Targaryen. So you should definitely come to that panel.
If you find yourself free, yeah.
'Cause there's a lot of parallels that's very, very clear. But I also agree with you though that there are comparisons to be made between Jon and Daenerys and Alysanne and Jaehaerys.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I won't lie, like, the first time I read that, I was like, they're sister and brother. They were born together. That's awkward. And then, like, once you get past that, which is something I will probably never get past, let's just be really honest, they were one of the best ruling couples ever of all time.
Yeah.
So once the series started to allude to Dany and Jon, I was real quick to be like, it's fine. They are separated, aunt and nephew. I don't care.
Yeah.
So I was really sad to see it not kind of come to fruition, honestly.
Sure.
Because I feel like if you've got sister and brother doing that, then if you've got that separation, like what could these people do that didn't grow up together?
Do you think that in the books we will see much more of a build of the relationship versus what we got to see on the show?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if not, I'm gonna burn the book.
Anything more than
That's fair.
Black Lady.
No. I think that we will get much more than I don't want it. She's my queen. I think we're probably gonna get a lot more of like them developing why they love each other and then not even knowing that they're related, and hopefully maybe even seeing that at the end and being like, well, we're both Targaryens. That's what they do. Probably not because he's from the Starks.
I have theories and they're very sad, so I'll tell you later. All
I have a
right.
question for you.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
Yeah.
So you're shipping Sansa with agency and freedom, and I'm curious because in my read of the books, I saw her as a Joan of Arc character.
Oh.
In that she suffered greatly and, for her country.
Which is what we get in the show.
Yeah. So Alex is saying that he saw Sansa as a Joan of Arc character who suffered greatly for her country, or the North in this case.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Which she makes her own country at the end, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
She does institute her own state.
And so one of the things about Joan of Arc was that she was a proud virgin. And I ship that a little bit in that, she doesn't necessarily need a man or a woman or anyone.
Yeah.
She is the queen in the North.
Mm-hmm.
And that should be
That's the thing about Dansa. They both retain their sovereignty. Just saying.
In the interest, in the interest of not turning this into my panel that I am doing tomorrow, which you should come to.
You should come to that, yeah.
I agree with you. There's an aspect of Sansa's arc, specifically in the books, that is very much in line with. In the show, of course, we've seen her arc combined with Jane Poole's, which is really tragic and awful. And it's, I didn't expect to get this verklempt.
Verklempt.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow. In the show, it's very much a, she's sort of like, she's sold off like chattel, right? Like she's passed off from Lannister to Bolton, and then when she finally gets home, she draws a hard line in the sand and says, never again, I'm not doing that. In the books, I don't think that will happen. I don't know that she will actually ever be sold off in that manner, because that's Jane Poole's arc. I think that she will absolutely find her way back home. I think she will find her way to Jon. And what let me be very frank. I don't know that I ever see Jon and Sansa happening in the books. That's like a pipe dream for me. I will forever ship it.
And that's the thing about shipping.
This one knows.
That's the thing about shipping.
Yeah.
You can ship it and it can never happen. That's fine.
So it's beautiful. Shipping, exactly. Like and we'll get to that point. Like shipping can absolutely happen in this very small.
One of my favorite Harry Potter ships is two characters who aren't even the same era.
Dude, you sent me this one. Maddie sent me the other day I can't say that word. I'm so sorry. Maddie she sent me from Archive of Her Own.
Yeah.
It was Steve Rogers and Sansa Stark.
I thought it was It's amazing. So my friend Jen she's a reporter, but she did this hilarious double feature Twitter thread, and she wrote a Sansa Stark Steve Rogers fan fiction, and it's hysterical. And there are GIFs. There are so many GIFs.
The narrative gymnastics you have to go through to achieve that is impressive.
It's
so
beautiful.
I can't even hate on it.
I wasn't even mad. I was like, you did that. Okay.
I don't care. And that's the beautiful thing about shipping, right? It's whatever George has has in store for Sansa, I will go with it. I'll buy it, because he's confirmed at this point that how the show ends is broad strokes of how his book ends. And so if that
Broad
means that,
strokes. Yeah, I don't know about that one, Chief.
Broad strokes.
and if that means that Sansa ends up as Queen of the North and she is unwed at that time, that is fine by me. I think that it's just it's not important for me who she ends up marrying.
If we want to roll it back to first encounters in shipping, because I got a lot of that from LiveJournal, and I remember LiveJournal. Did anyone have a LiveJournal or a Zanga?
LiveJournal is a real thing.
Yeah, so I was all about that LiveJournal community stuff, and MSN chats and stuff, and AOL, and I was on it, y'all. I was on it. And then also, then Tumblr came around in 2006 or so, maybe earlier. I don't remember. It was so long ago, and then that kind of became the place for fandom and
Virgin and everything.
yeah, absolutely, and.
Destroyed it.
Yeah, and
What were your
then,
first ships?
Yeah.
Shout them out. What were your first ships?
Go. Robin and Starfire, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mine were Yu-Gi-Oh based.
Yes.
Yeah, and then also I was also really super into Avatar, and I'm a Zutara girl. So if anybody's a Zutara person, please raise their hand right now. Yes, Zutara is where it's at.
Hermione and Harry.
Nice.
I hated Ron and I hated Ron and Hermione.
Hermione, sorry. Hermione answers all your issues. You should check it out sometime.
Harry Potter's all y'all.
I can send you some links.
It's fine.
I am working on pulling her into that.
Hermione is
Yeah.
clearly the superior.
What? Which one? Who?
Voldemort.
Hermione.
Tomini. That's my ship. My ship is Tomini. Surprise everyone, you know so much about me now. Yes.
I need to hear about this.
Oh my god, I will send you links. Lakota.
I have to.
Lakota, I will send you links.
No, I want to hear.
She's like, I have fan fiction.
The most powerful Muggle-born wizard and the most powerful pureblood.
I'm telling you. No, he's half-blood.
Come on.
He's half-blood. He's half-blood. His dad's a muggle. Yeah.
Come on,
I
son.
think saying that there was like a theory that his dad was magical but didn't know it.
No, that theory's dumb. I'm sorry.
All right, bring it back to Game of Thrones. Bring it back to Game of Thrones.
I mean, these are really good examples, though, right? These are really good examples of how you get a conversation going, and how, like sometimes this can in some cases it can be really extraordinarily detrimental to a fandom.
Absolutely.
I'm looking directly at Twilight.
Yes.
I'm looking directly at Buffy.
No one likes Twilight. Just kidding.
Were y'all ever
love
around?
Twilight.
Were y'all ever around for the Harry Potter fanfic wars?
Oh my god.
That's where that's so. Let me just say, do y'all know Mortal Instruments?
This is a whole other panel.
I know, but do you know that started as a Drarry fanfiction?
Yeah.
And then she made it whatever it is now, and
She recycled.
I'm just
her own
saying, if
writing.
you're about to talk,
And
Team
she
Jacob,
plagiarized
Team
from
Edward,
other writers.
Let's go.
yeah, we'll fight. We will. I have some big beef with Cassandra Clare.
Yep.
Yeah.
Star Trek.
bullied a bunch of
There's
people
some
out of the
Yeah, she was like, my friend's a lawyer and I'll sue you.
There's like
yeah.
oh
Oh yeah, good old Paxton.
Anyway,
everything, every single fandom you can think of. Like you just like it's a but like right, this is kind of like this is indicative of shipping wars.
does anyone watch The 100?
Oh my
Yes.
god.
Okay, so you know how
The two people.
Bob and Eliza got secretly married?
Hey, I haven't watched the new season.
Bob and
by the way.
Eliza got secretly married.
You told me about that, but I haven't seen the new season, so back off.
So imagine if Kit and Amelia never did like a love triangle, and then we're suddenly like, by the way, we've been married for a month. That's what's happening in the 100 fandom right now.
By the way, they had no chemistry.
It's literally bananas.
So validated.
I have a timeline. Let's talk afterwards. I'll show you my timeline. Yeah. Some stuff is happening. Yeah, cool. So what's the
Go back to Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So no, but
Which is what we're here for.
yeah, the tangent was meant to really kind of like prove like shipping is not just obviously inclusive to Game of Thrones.
Right.
Like this has been going on for a really
Decades.
long time.
Mulder and Scully.
Yeah.
It's been
Star Trek.
It's been going on exactly Star Trek. It's been going on since Star Wars. It's actually been going on. It sort of predates a lot lot of like our modern fandom.
Yeah.
If we're being really honest,
It predates the internet with Star Trek.
It predates Tumblr. It predates AO3.
Yeah.
It predates
Let's
fanfiction.net
go.
and LiveJournal.
Yeah.
It goes back to Marlowe's iconic Dr. Faustus. If we're going to be really legit about it. I did my research, folks. I'm not just up here talking out of my ass.
Well,
Continue.
I will kiss you and I won't even feel bad about it.
I know.
Caligula was first. We'll get there. I did 10 years of Latin.
Danza.
I know.
Danza, it lives. Marlowe's iconic Dr. Faustus features a scene in which is highly self-insert of Faustus interacting with Helen of Troy. We have moments even in Plato's Republic, which imagines a scenario in which he's actually like talking to Socrates. So we have these very, very historical moments of.
Can I also mention Dante's Inferno, in which he puts all of the people that he hates in hell and describes in vivid detail how awfully they're being tortured? That's a thing. It's beautiful.
I did a play actually where it was Shakespeare's Inferno, and it was all the Shakespeare characters going through the 7 circles of hell.
Paradise Lost,
she said.
Milton, and Daddy Lucifer.
Milton and
Socrates,
Lucifer.
I ship it.
Yeah.
I ship it. Sign me up. I'm there.
I'm with you, Brad. I'm with you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
I
and
ship it.
Shakespeare himself, you could argue Shakespeare himself even is a fan fiction writer in some aspects. He is writing about Henry. He's writing about Cleopatra. We have historical evidence.
Every historical adaptation is fanfic.
100%. And she dropped the mic and she said, bye.
Yep.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me that there is such a a negative connotation that shipping and specifically fan fiction now has in fandom that I think is really unfair, specifically because it's been around for so freaking long.
Yeah.
And so then when we think, like when we turn our lens onto Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire, right? Specifically when we think about the notions of these characters that we really love and appreciate, that we've either read about or that we've watched on the show, why do we cling so intensely, and why are we so very adamantly, sometimes aggressively defensive of these ships?
I think it goes back to the love mapping, and someone attacking your ship is like someone attacking you. And so like in the last decade or so, it started earlier, but I've noticed that on the internet there's like a cancel culture, to where like people have decided that everything has to follow their set of values, and if it doesn't, then they are canceled and they are bad and everything is awful.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm guilty of it. Sometimes I see other people being guilty of it. And it's this sort of tribalistic adaptation we've had to have to like the awful world that's happening around us. And like the way that we can like, if we feel insecure in something, I would say we are more likely to be very policing of it. So in that sense of say I was someone on the internet, if I didn't feel like my voice mattered, or if I didn't feel like I had anything of value to contribute, I would say, well, this person has less value to contribute, and I'm gonna stump for that.
Yeah.
So we like have perpetuated this like awful toxic culture, especially around shipping, where people really put themselves into what they say and what they believe. So when anyone sort of fights or disagrees with that, it becomes very personal very quickly. And we have this awful tendency to react in like really terrible ways to people because it's on the internet and everyone is not a real person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, Meg.
I just wonder, because on Twitter you see it mostly with Daenerys and Sansa, if it goes back to the fact that both of those characters, Sansa and Daenerys, have been repeatedly attacked since the first book.
Yeah.
For being,
I would agree with that, yeah. I think it definitely becomes, it comes from like a defensiveness that people have learned. And it really sucks because I wish we could all be kinder to everyone and more understanding.
Sure.
Because then we wouldn't have the awfulness that's happening on Twitter that has almost made me like leave Twitter a couple of times.
It's made me kind of realize, like, when there's certain people that are such hardcore fans of certain characters, because they're really quick to be like, oh, well, that's disgusting. Danny and John are niece and nephew, but they don't want to acknowledge the fact that John and Sansa are still half brother and sister.
Cousins.
Sorry, cousins.
That's right.
Sorry, that was terrible.
But they were racist siblings, so that still is a factor.
they're-
Strange sibling.
Well, yeah, because she was following, her mom, so it really didn't interact too much.
Yeah.
They don't
But
have that familial sense.
Either way, what I've been seeing is these people that are wanting to like push these ideas to the side and be like, well, my character's doing this because it's right. And you're
I
like,
see that a lot in the Brainy world.
Let's see.
I see that a lot in the Brainy world too. People are like, Brainy is abusive, and I'm like, Jamie Cersei isn't, and they're like, yeah, but like they're both awful, and I'm like, okay, and like, does that make it better? Like, what is happening? So, what's up?
Not to take this away from Game of Thrones and to the internet, but I'm going to do that for just a second.
Oh, please. We're always here to talk about the internet and what's wrong with it.
Yeah,
I mean, the toxicity on Twitter
Except for me.
is pretty bad, but like...
and that's just one example of social media.
Yeah.
And the thing is that like people argue and say really nasty shit to each other.
Yeah, people say awful things to each other.
Because they don't see the other person on the other end as a...
Right, exactly. They don't see them as people.
But more importantly, I feel like as a fandom, we could just see this as just the internet. If we all realize, look, you're dehumanizing me because I'm just a Twitter egg to you.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Twitter egg. Continue.
I'm not saying it's excusable, but like from one perspective, it hurts me to think that people are hurt by the things that are said on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because like, it's just fucking Twitter.
Yeah, but also, that's the thing you have to understand. There are circumstances in this world, there are people with circumstances in this world that Twitter is their real life. Like, they can't go outside for medical reasons, or they can't...
There's also some of us that don't have Twitter because it's toxic as hell.
Or some of them don't have... Yeah, so like, it kind of, there are a bunch of reasons for why people are the way they are. And,
Right.
you know, you can take them or leave them.
Less seriously.
Yeah, and I
That's-
wish,
yeah.
I wish we
Excuses for
could,
people saying horrible
no,
shit.
100%.
you're okay.
Yeah,
I wish we
yeah.
could all step back and like realize that it's just a fandom.
Yeah.
It's just
It's not real,
It's something
in case
that
you
can't
guys
get away
forgot.
from.
It's
Yeah.
not real.
No,
It
we
is a
definitely,
fictional work
yeah,
of literature and or film.
it's worth touching on, like, like, the etiquette of it all is...
Let's talk about etiquette.
Yeah, no, let's, please, for the love of God. Because, I mean, if we're going to be honest, shipping wars are kind of like Robert's Rebellion. Nobody wins and everybody leaves with a lot of scars. So, for the love of God, don't do it.
All
Take it
die.
so seriously.
It's been interesting, and these two know, specifically, like, leading up to this panel, there's been a lot of anxiety and there's been a lot of seeing the discourse, because there is
It's been awful. I'm
hashtag
gonna
all
be real.
discourse.
It's been awful.
It's been awful.
Yeah.
Because there's it's really difficult to disassociate yourself from it, and it's especially like someone that has like an interest in a fandom that is more, I guess it's more feminine and it's more romantic. There's a lot of people that have ideas that the fandom should not be approached that way. There's a lot of people that say that Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire should not be approached romantically. And if you have any ship, you are therefore not a real fan.
Yeah,
I've legitimately been told that by other people in this fandom. I will not name their names.
They're no longer coming to this con.
They're no longer at this con.
They're no longer here with us.
But that's a crummy feel,
It
right?
is.
Because it's like, how dare you tell me how I should approach
So
this
like
fandom
in
and
all
how
my
I
years of going to conventions,
interact with,
and so in all my years of going to conventions, I understand that like people, there's sort of like a legitimate way to be a fan, quote unquote. Lots of people think there's a legitimate way to be a fan, and then like a less legitimate way to be a fan.
That's a terrible idea.
It's the worst idea ever.
Yeah.
But we can't deny that like it is shipping and like fanfic writing and like fan art drawing is seen as inherently more feminine and romantic, as you said.
Yes.
And this sort of
it's not valid. It's not valid.
I wrote 20 essays and they're all 50,000 words and you're gonna listen to me has
about
been seen as
moon
more,
meteors.
has been seen as like more masculine and therefore more legitimate. And the artists, I know in any convention you go to, the artist alleys always get less business than like the generic marketplace places, even though those people probably care way more about the thing that you're there to celebrate than the people who have the same 50 things that they sell everywhere else. So there's this sort of like very gendered expectation of fandom that I really want to break down and kind of just destroy and say throw it in the garbage, because there are lots of things that lots of people can do, and any way you engage in the fandom, as long as it's not hurting other people, is super, super valid and needs to be supported and respected. Yeah. Thank you.
There is no
Thank you
right
so
way to
much.
be a fan.
Yeah.
Guys, that's
As long as
like
you're nice
kind
to
of
each
the
other
moral.
and you respect each
Yeah,
other.
there's no right way
You're
to be
correct.
a fan. There's only a wrong way of being a douchebag.
So I think whatever you like.
Yeah,
It's just weird.
Yeah. I think it's super important to engage with civility. Twitter, of course, makes that very difficult because Twitter is kind of like troll culture.
It's a hell site.
There's a lot of people that want to engage with you in really negative ways and
Tell
fight
you make your life better, delete your Twitter. It's been so great. It's been 5
Period, point
years
blank,
now.
just delete your Twitter now, it's fine.
It's been 5 years. I'm a much better human.
However, if you choose to remain on this site, we have some pro tips that we can offer.
Yeah, absolutely.
On how to kind of combat the nastiness of it all.
I see people starting to like censor their character names in order to avoid the stands that search. To avoid the stands that search terms.
Well,
to
honestly,
fight
when
people.
they came to me with like the ship war idea, I was like, what do you mean ship war?
Oh.
And they were like, well, Twitter's blowing up about it. And I was like, been off Twitter for a very long time now. Not sure what you're talking about. So I had no idea that there was all this animosity built up.
Oh, it's terrible.
Between like Johnsa and
You
Daenerys.
sweet summer child.
I know, like your girl decided to just nix it because I was like, no, thank you.
Oh yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, my dear friend Steven Stark, who I love very much, he won't mind that I quoted him. I was on the Con of Thrones primer. I don't know if anybody watched it. It was a great time. But when I described this panel that I was doing, he said, I'm not going within 100 feet of that panel. Yep. Because of how sort of divisive and awful the discourse has been online, the capital D discourse.
Isn't that such a representation of what online is?
It's a shame.
Yes.
It's really
Yeah.
just a shame.
Yes.
Wonderful conversation
Yes.
here with all of these people.
Yeah.
I would never say your fucking shit is stupid to
Yeah.
your face.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're sitting in front of me, you're a
No.
human being,
Right.
right? But,
Remember, we talked about a ship earlier, and I said I respectfully disagree, and that's as far as I went.
Yeah.
and you would never go further than that.
That's yeah.
Right.
No.
I would never go further than that online.
Right.
I would definitely think it, but you know.
And that's the worst thing about Twitter, is that you can
Yeah.
say whatever.
Yeah. I mean, we're all human. We
You're
can't.
so right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I truth be told, like, I mean, I feel pretty safe because like I have the notion of like Sansa and like happiness and agency.
Yeah.
So like whatever that looks like for her in the books, like whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
But like there are a lot of people that are very much like, well, I think that Sansa it should be like shipped with happiness and agency, but then they're very clearly like it's very clearly John, and it's like okay,
But also,
that's fine, whatever.
I would make
but
a
like
statement.
don't be a dick online, like behind the safety of your keyboard.
I would like to say that a lot of people are also like, if someone is like, oh, I ship like John and Sansa, or I ship John and Dany, or I ship Sansa and Gendry, or I ship Sansa and Pod, that somehow precludes them from wishing for Sansa to have agency, which really
Right,
sucks.
right.
Because I totally want everyone to have agency and like if I say that I prefer a ship, suddenly it means that I want to take away that person's
Right,
agency in order to
right.
force them into a fictional pairing, which is just not true.
Yeah, it forces you into a fictional pairing. It forces you into a box. Therefore, like the perception of you as like a presence online or even as a person, it becomes icky. It's like I felt this like measure of anxiety even coming to Con of Thrones because like people know that I like ship Johnsa and I ship Dansa and like whatever thing that
It's
makes
the
her
best
happy.
ship.
It's like, are people gonna like consider me
lesser for
too
shipping?
romantic?
Yeah.
Too romantic, or like, oh, she reads fan fiction, so therefore she is not a valid fan. And
Yeah,
I think that is
we really need to
unfair.
normalize like
Yeah.
reading
Yeah.
like fan fiction in like spaces, because I think fan fiction is just the coolest, and I
Yeah.
think the way that we reinterpret stories and characters is just really, really beautiful. What's
And
up,
like,
Brad?
especially to me, I think that fan fiction and like the reaction to it, I think has been highly gendered. And so
Absolutely, it has been highly
part
gendered.
of it,
Yeah.
I think too, especially like not only is it female characters in shipping that tend to overwhelmingly draw hate for whatever reason, it's also women overwhelmingly leading the charge on this to be able to reimagine characters in different situations.
Oh my God,
to be able
absolutely.
to like, it's
Yes. Oh my
essentially whatever you can imagine can become possible, right?
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
think that there are men that are very,
So,
very threatened by
I read
that.
this great A Song of Ice and Fire AU where everyone was in the opera business, and Asha Greyjoy was the scariest stage manager in the country.
Wait, was this the Phantom of the Opera like reimagined?
No. So I
Because
read.
it should be.
So there was like a throb. There was like a throb one, and then there was like a Bramy one where they did what's that German opera? I don't know.
Well, I mean, you got to be more.
There's so many. Yeah, I could not
What
tell
is
you right
that German opera?
German.
Anyone?
now. But it was just crazy.
Give me more clues.
It's the one where the dude is in chains and Brienne has to like cross dress to save her lover or whatever, and like they do. I know, but also in Shakespeare, so you have to be more specific. So I can't think of it right now, but it's very good. But like that's sort of just
All of these links.
that's something that's something that would never happen in like traditional publishing that is like honestly amazing, and I think that more people should do it, and I think that people should be willing to reimagine the worlds and the characters that they love in different ways, because you can find out so much more about them and respect them in so many more different ways. All right, cool.
Yes, Amanda.
But I mean, I feel like a lot of like discourse comes from, like, a lot of people have a favorite character.
Yes.
Obviously, Lakota's favorite character is Daenerys.
What, how did, what?
How dare you?
Very dare you
I
assume.
feel really
Ship your
attacked.
favorite character with happiness.
Yeah.
Like, you want to just...
You just want them to be happy, and you have different. You just have different
Sometimes they
interpretations
just
of what
kill
that
your
happiness
character,
looks
though.
like.
It goes back to love mapping. It goes back to love mapping. Love mapping. It goes back to this idea that like I identify with this character, therefore that character in some capacity is a representation of me. And so that therefore I feel like I want this character to be happy.
Yeah.
I want this character to have the fulfillment that I am somehow lacking in my life or in some aspect of my life at any point in time I've never received. So for some people that means, yes, I want this girl that I identify with to hook up with Kit Harington.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I feel like I need the validation of someone in this universe, right? In this fandom, in this beautifully rich, robust world that George R.R. Martin has written. I want Sansa to be in a position in which she is supported and she is uplifted and she is loved.
And I want that too.
And I want
Which
that
is why
too.
Dan
Who
says
doesn't
the
want
best
that? And who doesn't? As Daenerys, like Daenerys has only ever wanted the house with the red door and the lemon tree outside.
She
her
just
window.
wants a home.
But sometimes you don't get that.
And sometimes
It's
you
fine.
don't get that, and that's really awful. And I am so sorry for what happened to you.
I'm fine. I'm good.
Yeah.
Wait till tomorrow, we'll talk about it.
When we talk about like shipping as a whole, I think it can edge on problematic to put the things that you want into the stories that you love. And
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Have you talked to people that ship Sansa and Littlefinger? You shouldn't. It's fine.
But no, I mean, like, thinking about it from, a male perspective, and I know this is an all-female panel.
Oh, no, please, yes, yeah.
We welcome a male
Absolutely,
perspective.
Yeah,
Please.
Men automatically get shipped with the women in the show and stuff like that. And I think it's pretty clear with the way that the show ended and John's end that his freedom and happiness and agency was consumed by the women that he loved throughout the entire show.
That's super true.
And he got his happy ending because with nobody, right? So shipping Johnsa or John, anybody else, is almost wrong to his character in some way because he was much happier at least
On his own,
shipping
in the
John.
north.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't want to say John.
The other John.
Other John has.
So other John has
Other
some thoughts.
John
Yeah.
has.
Tell us, Tom Snow.
Can we call it Jost?
Tom Snow. Let's hear from Tom Snow.
If it's about ghosts, I'm here for it. Let's go.
If it's about torment, I am definitely.
I definitely ship John Mend. I do believe that John is very bi, and that is very supported in the text, in my opinion.
John and Dany are both very problematic bisexual Targaryens, and I love disaster vibes.
Disaster vibes.
I mean, I'm just saying.
What?
You've read how he describes Satin.
Yeah.
Satin.
Let's talk about Satin.
Let's talk about Satin.
Tom, yes.
Tell us your thoughts.
Respectfully disagree with both points. I do not think John is happy north of the wall. I think John has always only wanted to be accepted at home.
Yeah.
John's home is Winterfell.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
Winterfell means Sansa.
Well, we
But
settled
does he
it.
love Sansa?
Stop.
He 100% loves Sansa.
Tom, get away from me. What's that? Tom, where's your wife right now? Kiss her full on the lips.
Sorry, what are you saying in the back?
So I thought that I'm not a good shipper, but
Yeah.
Tom goes north of the wall and just decides to be just like celibate for the rest of his
I don't think he's celibate.
I mean, he's not celibate.
John.
I call bullshit.
His giant woman.
He lasted like 2 weeks the first time. He's not celibate.
If we're gonna, well, and I love that you call this out because if we're thinking about in terms of the show giving us like Tom Snow, I'm so sorry, I'm just doing it now. Tom Snow. If we think about my bro John going north of the wall, we have a character that the show has never given us that John might be hooking up with, which is Val, the wildling princess.
You mean
That
the
should
wildling
have
princess
happened.
with
The wildling
a
princess
beautiful
with
long
a beautiful
blonde
long blonde braid. Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I had to throw that bone for Lakota.
Yes, please.
Sorry, so, first of all, sorry I couldn't answer your opera question. I'm a professional musician.
Yeah, I'm gonna look this up. I'll tell you.
Okay, good. I really want to know. But the other thing is, I wanted to ask if you guys think there are any other reasons that there's so much vitriol around shipping in the fandom. Like, I don't participate in the online community at all.
Good
because
job.
I want
Good for you. Keep doing that.
She doesn't either.
I don't
yeah.
want anything to do with people attacking me for loving Johnsa. I don't want anything to do with that. Yeah.
And that's honestly self-care.
That's how
So
I feel
yeah.
about the Daenerys thing. I don't want anybody attacking me for loving that or loving Daenerys.
And I'm out here to defend everyone's right to ship anything. So
I think it comes from it really comes from a culture. It's just like it's sort of like a spawn of the online culture of like, I have to be right. There's a lot of people that feel like they have to be right about something.
I mean, to be fair, I am that person on Facebook, but
you know, and that's fine. Like, thank you. We're still friends.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still like, you're still my best friend, even though like we do not agree on our views of this thing. So it's really just sort of born out of people feeling like they have to be right. What's interesting about this too is that there's a lot of people that can. I love it because it's so open to interpretation. There are a lot of cases to be made for Johnsa in the books. I stand by that. And there's a lot of cases to be made for Daenerys in the books. That is a fact. Her whole House of the Undying vision, there are so many references to Jon Snow and the North. It's beautiful. And I have a catch me outside, how about that? I have a whole...
Did you just catch me outside?
Yes, I did. I will talk your ear off about the... No, I can talk your ear off about the fact that, like, if they had given us so much more of her House of the Undying visions in the show, season 8 would have made a hell of a lot more sense.
Oh, there's just so much of her visions that would have made so much.
I mean, can we talk about it? We will, because catch me outside. How about that? But like, there are a lot of people that like can make cases for both of these things. So I think that's why there's so much vitriol between the two, because there's a lot of people that come to the books interpreting things so very differently, and that's fair. Like, interpret it how you want to. I'm not here to fight you about it, but I'll talk to you about it for hours. So yeah, please.
This is actually a question for you.
Yeah.
Together, I guess. Is like in the shipping community, is it a community or I don't know, like war-torn place?
It is a war-torn, minefield, awful place.
It's Fidelio.
You should never enter it.
Cool.
If you can avoid it at all possible.
Yeah.
Polyamory among the Targaryens. Is there not like people who are like shipping like multi-dimensional relationships?
Yes.
Hi, we're working on it. We are working on it. But
I really hope that like
if there's a Jon Daenerys,
I'm here for. Can I get a high five? Yes. The dragon has 3 heads. One of them is a wolf. And
Can I also pivot to this? Also Iron Queen. Can I also get an Iron?
If we're really talking about
A Jashaenerys. Who? John and Dany and Asha.
Oh my god. Can we? I don't know about that.
It's a reach, but it makes sense.
in my wildest
She's been on like 4 minutes till we're done. I don't know.
I will just say, I don't talk much, but in my wildest dreams, Dany and Asha.
Yes. Okay. Iron Queen. Yeah.
Where's Amber right now?
Dabble in it.
I don't know, but she can come hang out.
Sansa Stark, because both of them are in love with their siblings. That's usually how it like starts working out, and so they find like comfort in each other and how they can't have their.
Ooh, Sansa and Jaime?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm for that.
Yeah.
Amanda, you had your hand up.
Deny Asha.
Truly. Who can deny Asha?
Even her brother couldn't.
That's true. It's true.
Curiosity.
Yes, Alex.
Yeah, let's talk about the incest of the Greyjoys for a second. Sorry. Continue.
So I'm not in the online community at
Yeah.
this stuff, so I'm
Good for you. I'm proud of you. Join the coven.
I'm wondering if anybody's ever seen anything shipping Melis Johnsa.
Oh, not Melis. I've seen Melis John. I've seen Johnsa, but I've not seen Melis Johnsa.
I don't think I've heard that one.
Wait, it's a new one.
Who was that? Melisandre,
John, and Sansa.
Melisandre, John, and Sansa.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, there's so many fun characters in Game of
That's a lot
Thrones
of
that you
redhead.
kind of just like, close your eyes forever.
That's a lot of redhead. John definitely has a type,
The
yes.
prince who is promised and the woman that he loves.
I would argue that he is not the prince, that there is a lot more into that, but that's another panel.
That's a totally other panel. Yeah, to be fair, like, that's the thing about shipping too, is like, we could go probably.
You can go anywhere you want.
Like 6 different panels.
Yeah.
Plus.
Is there a Daenerys panel where she just says, fuck it, I'm going with Drogon, I hate all of you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Because I'm here for that one.
It's like literally the fan art of Kinvara resurrecting her.
She just leaves. She's like, bye.
Yeah.
I hate all of you.
And I'm out.
My work here is done.
Yeah, so all that being
We
said.
have 1 minute.
Yeah.
A whole minute.
On that bombshell.
Any last questions? Any concerns? Anything you want to talk about? Any like weird ships you want to throw at
Just
us?
like share links with all of these things we talked
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're here to break down the sort of the stigma about shipping and about talking about that in like people spaces and stuff. Yeah. What's up?
What's up?
I know it's controversial, but I really like Tormund and Brienne.
Yeah!
How is that controversial? That is perfect. That is the most perfect.
I respectfully disagree.
Bramy fans gonna respectfully.
Tormund and Brienne.
One on all three.
Tormund and Brienne? Hold on.
I have a feeling
Jane Tormund.
What's up?
Madison's going to get this.
What?
Gren and Pip.
I ship it.
Oh, I love
I ship Gren and Pip.
Yes. I mean, if we had we can absolutely talk in the hallway about problematic ships because I
Who do
can
y'all
talk
ship with
to you for a
Benjen?
long ass. I can talk a long time about Stannis and Melisandre. I can talk about.
There's so many things.
What about San San?
What about John?
I respectfully disagree with Sansan, but y'all do you.
John
Love Sansan.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me about Sansan. I'll be here all night. I will FaceTime Chloe. That's a different panel. Yeah. Oh man, Chloe will mess you up.
God.
Okay, but I think that's time.
Wait. I have one question for all three of you.
What? Go. Okay.
I want to hear your initial reactions to John 1.
Who? What? John what? Oh, good Lord, Alex. Really?
I guess that would mean John has a size.
That's my reaction.
She had a real question.
So my real question about
What's
shipping
up?
is, in my view of shipping, you have your favorite character and you wish happiness upon them.
Right.
Is that true for you? Like, Britt, your obvious favorite character is Sansa.
No, I hate her.
So
Your obvious favorite character.
So I have my favorite character, and I wish angst upon them.
Like,
I wish all of the beautiful emotional suffering upon them.
You're my favorite character.
Yeah, I want them to be angsty. Yeah.
Happiness can be angst, Hermione. Like,
Love that for you.
I
Yeah.
have such a good time, and I'm feeling really attacked right now.
I think, of course, all of us want our favorite characters to be happy.
Yeah. I should only hope.
So why do we got to make other people miserable?
I think
Exactly.
I was gonna say.
their problem.
I think that happens at the expense of hurting other characters for other people.
Yep.
And we all have to, at the end of the day, realize that it's not real.
Well, and you have to realize too, like George has given us such a rich world of these really, really fascinating characters, and if we can use season 8 as a,
Can we not talk about season 8?
I know.
Let's briefly talk about it real quick.
I'm so sorry, but like we really quickly have to talk about it. I'm sorry, we do because we have to because like if it has been confirmed that there is a general consensus that like season 8 is how the books will end.
I disagree, but go off.
Not that bad.
I'm sorry, but I have to say, like,
Probably not that bad.
that's gonna be the thing that you have to like sort of
3 minutes
like
at a
that's
time,
the,
yeah.
that's where we're at.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming. We're so happy to have you. We gotta
We're
go.
gonna let you go now,
Bye.
guys. Have a good night. Have a good night.